wanted to ban second.
Well, what's similar to Ilaoi? Yone?
Illidan?
Illidan?
I don't know, actually, what they would be trying to click on there. Maybe he just had top highlighted and misclicked.
I feel like it... I mean, in terms of, like, alphabetical order and champs that actually get banned. Okay, Ambessa was not who I was expecting, but...
I was like...
Similar.
You know, it definitely wouldn't have been Irelia. So... Well, that's what they were looking for. So 2 top lane bans towards Keen here. Protecting Perfect, but you can feel the weight of Perfect losing his Rumble in game 1. Like, this is his best pick by far, and now they have to protect him in draft here. It's not bad bans by any means, especially with the impact Keen's made on both of these champions already. But it opens up everything else. And when Gen.G on red side are going to get that 1-2 punch, you can bet they're going to feel it.
Yeah. Now, as KT, you could try to neutralize this and ban away something like Yunara and say, okay, we'll take the Azir if you leave it open. Or the Talia, right? It is BDD. Was banned by Gen.G in the last game.
I think you just ban Yunara here. There's no Wukong as Gen.G, and then you're happy as Chovy to be like, look, I'm the better mid laner. And go Azir Talia trade, but you pick your poison, BDD. You're gonna have to lane against me no matter what. Now, BDD did have a great laning phase in game 1. And obviously spent a ton of time in side lanes, generated a gold lead, but it didn't end up mattering. As time ticks down, they will actually ban the Azir. So looking for a Talia Yunara trade here, potentially.
Yeah, it's got to be Yunara, 100%. Feels bad for BDD that he doesn't get to play Talia because 100% Chovy has to pick it here. Unless they really, really want to test themselves and give both Yunara and Talia, which... You know, there's a certain amount of testing you can do, which makes sense.
Already, KT predicted this scenario with the Vi ban. So they're like, you can't have Talia Vi, which is one of the strongest duos left that pairs with Talia. As Corki, they want to make sure they can lock this one away. Don't think you had to right here. It's like they're almost using this pick to think about what else they want to do in this bottom lane. Nico, you could just push up into this spot and lock it in, but it's banned, so I am curious. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm expecting, but like, you would think that would be the insta-lock and save the Corki for 3, since they already have their 80 carry locked in. They're really discussing the broader picture here, I think.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of like, how much do we want to give over? Do we want to pick this here? Do we want to try something into BDD's Talia?
A lot of discussion about the jungle pick, right? Because... what does Cuz end up grabbing here? We have Wukong and Trundle, Fearless ban. Xin Zhao, strong, but we don't know what the rest of this comp is going to look like right now. As KT Rolster, you could try to take away something like a Jarvan because any strong engage on top of the Yunara is going to be your biggest enemy. They already have the shove, so any CC that sets up a shove, you're having a terrible time. As this pick, this Ahri pick just keeps popping up.
Yeah, this feels like the Ryze Cassiopeia situation, where it's like, we don't necessarily like the Ahri that much. I mean, I like the Ahri, but a lot of us don't.
It's just not the way
Ahri gets picked into Talia all the time.
It's just not the way Ahri's been traditionally drafted over the last few years since her rework, so it's surprising to see, but it is doing well in the hands of some of our best mid laners here in the Legend group, as an even Showmaker in the Ryze group. Xin Zhao does end up being the choice. Some conditional engage here, but some real strong pick opportunities. Support becomes so interesting now because Nico is gone, right? But so is the Bard. A lot of other picks you could just try to win the lane with here as KT. Picks like Lulu that could empower this Yunara in the lane, that she can duel with Corki. Like almost no other 80 carry can. You have the right support, certainly can once you get your Qs stacked up.
Yeah.
Just push that Corki out of the lane. I think
rocks.
The thing about Yunara, it feels like so far, with the few games we've seen, is you want to trap her in this tiny bubble. Like, you have to control the lane. If you lose tempo for just 1 second, she just takes over the game. She takes over the mid lane, and then you have to find a way to lock her down later. The Nautilus is potentially one way also you could just set up more engage here. It's not going to be necessarily the strongest 2v2 matchup. See what this final ban is going to be for Gen.G.
You got to be careful about picking it early, which if you do want to pick support and save counter pick for top, then, you know, you don't want to blind pick a top here. With the Aatrox ban, I'm almost feeling like a Cassante.
Yeah, but with the Renekton ban, I'm like, are we Cassante, Ornn, Sion? Like both of these top laners just going brick walls against each other? Quite interesting here. Yorick to be the option into Keen now, so it does feel like Perfect is playing a tank, which that part I'm like, I get it, because you got the Yunara in your comp and it's Perfect, right? Like, this guy's not known to dominate lanes. He's known to hide under turret and make an impact later. I'm gonna deny the Sion from him if that's what he wanted to opt for, and it may just be Sion into Ornn here in the top lane. You have a few different options you can go with if the Sion is locked in now blind into Perfect if he wants to try to punish it, but the Aatrox is gone, the Renekton is gone.
The Ambessa's gone.
Ambessa's gone.
The Trundle's gone. It just feels like a really good Sion angle in general. So I just feel like his priority shoots way up. And they were never going to give that over to Perfect.
Well, you put this in a position where, or you put Perfect in a position now where his job is either to just match you in that lane, which puts him on low impact, or you're just saying, Perfect, like, you have to generate a lead against the brick wall Keen. Can you do it? And it's a really uncomfortable place to be. And this is not us speaking ill of Perfect, it's just the reality is the guy has not been able to generate big leads. He's not that kind of player in most scenarios. We have the occasional pop-off game or his Rumble, which is amazing, or his Udyr back in the day. The Rakan here to follow up on so much single target pick. Like, if a shove hits, and then a charged Q from Keen hits, and then, or, you know, it's the shove into Rakan, and then, boom, the Sion shows up. There's a lot of ways to lock down a single target. The tricky thing is that Yunara should never be in range for that to happen, and otherwise it's kind of like Ahri's super mobile, Jarvan super mobile, Cassante very difficult to kill if picked. Alistar has his ultimate. The Alistar pick doesn't do great in terms of dominating the lane, but, you know, it's into Rakan, it should be fine in the 2v2, and then if you get a few levels in, you can actually hold your own into this Corki. I feel that's going to be fine. But the Rakan, it's going to be great follow-up. I just worry, can Gen.G actually lock down the proper target? Like, can they actually get the lockdown onto Ductom in these team fights? Because I prefer the Yunara's position in terms of the two tank top lanes we have, in terms of shredding those, in terms of front to back. I like the Yunara more than the Corki in that scenario, which is ironic because he has Gatling gun and shreds resistances, but that means very little when we get to the late game.
Going to the army in 4 days. He's got the haircut ready to go. And his friend, a KT fan, as he is a Gen.G fan. We'll see how that works out here in game number 2. As these comps very interesting. Gen.G has left up the Yunara. They've taken the Corki as the response. We'll see how it works as we hop on the rift for game number 2. All right, game number 2 coming on in, as that is definitely one of the best emotes.
I actually didn't see what it was. What was it?
This is a capybara swimming in the little bucket.
100%.
Enjoying a nice bro and brew.
And here we go. There's so many questions. This draft looks like almost like a game 4 draft or something. Like, some of the picks are obviously super S tier, but the fact that Yunara got through, you know, and there's like a Corki lane, but it's not a super strong, like hard crushing Corki lane. Talia's in, it's Ahri into Talia. These feel like picks that aren't traditionally picked in game 2 like this, but, and especially when you look at like the top lane being tank versus tank instead of a tank versus someone trying to punish a tank. That's rare. It's kind of unique for KT Rolster's situation here. They got their hands on the Yunara, which does feel like a little bit of limit testing here for Gen.G. Duro spelling it out, trying to figure out their tier list right now.
Yeah. Made it very obvious. I mean, Gen.G don't have anything to lose, really. I mean, even if they lost to KT, they'd be like, ah. Okay, whatever. I mean, obviously they're not going to try to, and they want to take this win, as they obviously did in game number 1. But at the same time, level 2 hit here, as Duro is going to hit level 2 himself. They go in for the play, but barrier comes through, as now Duro in a lot of trouble. He's going to flash the fat wall and does get away. And actually a lot of damage is done to Duckdom on the backside of this.
If that arc hits Ruler there too, I think there might have been a real opportunity to continue to push and pressure him further and maybe even get his flash. He barriered early there. That arc's going to hit, but man, this lane can be so volatile. Peter gets the heal to try to get behind there. It's almost enough. Goes for the headbutt combo here. Like I said, you got to keep her in this bubble. You got to contain the Yunara, because if she gets the push, she gets her Q stacked. She's like, I'm ready to fight you at any moment. No AD carry could really match the DPS. Especially when you have a Rakan, you know, as the support. Not like you're going to be able to lock her down necessarily. Duckdom still has flash here. Duro does not. This lane gets a little bit more volatile now. On the side of Gen.G and Ruler, you have to be very, very careful, because you got your Valkyrie, but you don't want to use it to run away. You just want to get as much farm as you can, but the tempo is definitely far against them.
Ari on a 4-game losing streak in Legend Group. We did just see Showmaker win on Ari in our first series of the day, but Calyx, Zaka, BDD, and Faker all have a game on it. BDD going to be the first one to replay it here in rounds 3 through 5.
It's a pick that, if you weren't here for the Showmaker series, we talked a little bit about how it normally pairs with certain types of junglers. Allows it to snowball in the early game and then have that same pairing in team fights, but sometimes you can just outplay. As Peter says no to this back.
We're just running into the bush. I mean, they will definitely say no and maybe say a little bit more. First blood given over to Yunara in the bottom lane. And a big wave denied away from Ruler as well.
This champ is really strong. They have a massive lead. They craft a huge wave into the turret. And Ruler is not going to see any of that. And so this is problematic. So wave the advantage here for this bottom lane, plus a kill.
Just limit testing, you know, seeing how far behind they can get and what happens when the Yunara gets fed and if they can handle it.
I think we're kind of moving past the control variables here a little bit, as this is just Ruler and Duro going like, there's a big wave coming. I would like to have it. And Cousin Peter's saying, you cannot have it. And then Duckdom's saying, I don't want to plate, I want to kill. And I think this is kind of the miscalculation here for Gen.G. Is like, surely they won't chase too far. They can get a plate there. We don't want a plate. We want that Rakan.
Meanwhile,
I want that
lane, Ruler, or rather Peter, coming on in, as now should be a kill with the W comes through. As Peter sets up the kill here for BDD, and KT have a big lead in the early game.
Okay, KT Rolster coming alive. Very massive early game lead here. Even Perfect was winning the top lane. He's now swapped into, so, you know, they're trying to generate the same lead they got the Rumble last time around. A little bit tougher into a Cassante in this case. Is Canyon caught? No way.
You're right. No way. Indeed. He will be just fine. Sion, very good in the swap, especially if Duckdom's going to take a fully charged Q to the face. Looks like Duckdom doesn't really care about the Sion.
He's baiting him.
To farm.
Peter's doing it again. Peter's coming. Keen, you got your ult. You might have to use that. Nah, he's Sion. I was just kidding.
That was a good one. Yeah, it was very funny.
I don't know, but I thought Peter maybe gets behind him.
Oh, the charm.
Charm is good. Follow up. Pole gets the headbutt after. And it's a good shove from Jovi, but unfortunately he's not obviously able to hit the Ahri, so BDD follows him, gets the flash in, gets the kill. The Dlash, I should say.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
As we're not done here in this bottom lane. This is not a replay. Peter's just hanging around.
Yeah. We're doing a good job of zoning him out, but no thought of a kill just yet. Perfect, in the meanwhile, is farming just fine, it looks like, into the duo of Gen.G.
Hearthbound Axe here for Duckdom. Nothing to scoff at. First item by. Peter Hex flashing.
Here we go again. Shield comes through. Do they have the damage is the question. No, they do not. As they say, cowards, and a charged up Q. Going to clear out most of the wave. And Keen once again will be just fine.
He is fine. Might lose a plate here if Duckdom wants to push the issue, but he might just also take 3 back at this stage. They have a control word of vision. See if they want to make anything of this, but they won't. See what he does buy on this back. The lead he has over Ruler remains the same with the swap, so isn't able to snowball or build anything further upon it. Says Rectrix off of this back, and actually we'll head top lane. Because, chill out, buddy.
He's got a lot to say. He's clearing the wave, or the wolves rather.
And Duro is like, I am Chovy's support now. I don't want to see any more shenanigans here in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's fair. You got a flashless Talia. You know, our spacers were talking about. Oh, speaking of which, and now actually trying to set up a play, and absolutely it'll work. It's a setup here to take down BDD. Canyon picks up the kill right as the grubs spawn.
Yeah, this is a really unfortunate timing here for KT, because without BDD, fighting this is nigh impossible, because Chovy can also just zone them with leaders wall even if they wanted to take a fight here. And Ruler's just going to be able to come and catch this bottom side wave because he's just not needed here. Lose a few minions. No way.
That's a fully... Oh, Chovy. He cut it short. Actually, a mistake from Chovy is going to lead to Duckdom surviving. Meanwhile, they're trying to fight here. Canyon has his ult up. They're going to get 3 grubs, and now the turn comes down on a Peter. They're going to take him out, and Duckdom's just too low. Running on in, Keen says, I can take him. He doesn't have his flash. That's going to be a kill for the Scion, and now Cuz and BDD trying to make something happen here. They land the charm. BDD, that's a couple of kills their way. As Chovy kind of low on mana, you can see BDD threatening as well, just pushing him away. Cuz goes back in, and there's the charm to deny the Q, but still, the outplay from Keen as he flashes over, and now BDD's in trouble. Even low on mana, Chovy is doing the damage, but it's just going to be Keen styling all over them.
It's insane greed from KT. They want to get both Chovy there and Keen. They think Keen is just dead. They want to zone Chovy away. They collapse onto the Talia there. And it just backfires in such a huge way, as this is the initial pick onto BDD that starts this all off. We then see some greed from Gen.G as Chovy is trying to set up the Weaver's Wall play here onto Duckdom. But it does not quite make it happen, which then kind of messes up the bottom side of the fight for them here as well. Cuz has a pretty good ult, but has to flash away. Chovy's just out of mana. Looking at this back a second time, we're really zoomed in on the bottom side of this fight. You mentioned it in the play-by-play later on. He's just not able to do anything here anymore. And BDD is already, we talked about it with Showmaker earlier, in these early skirmishes, you get those resets, you can do so much. And here's where things get a little bit weird, a little bit greedy. Instead of focusing down Keen, they really want to just push Chovy away. Because, oh, this Scion probably just can't get out, right? BDD goes over there, but then, suddenly, Chovy gets the snipe. Like, that's the biggest problem right there. Jarvan goes down. And Keen is, he's Bomby Cindering.
Oh.
Kills him with the ult. Comes up right at the end. Question mark ping as well. And now we got a 4-kill Scion.
Yeah, this is kind of absurd.
That's... he's very fed.
Show me the damage numbers.
Yeah. Chovy gonna have to flash here. It's the power of the Jarvan. Now going in, BDD looking for the angle, but that's just gonna be Spirit Rush down. That's fine, but not quite the value they were looking for. Meanwhile, the replay. What happens here on this dragon?
Looks like they just took it, right?
Is that the whole replay? Took the dragon, or was it stolen?
Yeah, they just got it.
Oh, okay, they just got it. It just showed the whole dragon take. It's like, okay, this is what happened in the beginning of the dragon take, the end of the dragon take, the middle.
Yeah. I liked it. Well, I liked the climax where like they kited the dragon for a second and then finished it off.
I liked how they kept us in the dark, like it could have been stolen somehow, I guess. Pretty unlikely based on where Cuz was, but...
Interesting. A dragon story.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Dragon
great.
Tails.
Just Dragon Tail in this case.
Dragon Tail 1. Just one of them. The Valkyrie away. Ruler. Gonna take a bunch of damage. Yunara just doing Yunara things.
Does have Kraken Slayer now. Big item advantage over Ruler. Oh, doesn't have his Triforce yet. Not even going to be his biggest spike, but would have at least helped him some of that damage. Speaking of damage.
Yeah, Peter in a bunch of trouble. Gonna have to go with the Unbreakable Will, but he's still taking a bunch of damage. DuckDom's like, I don't know if I can even help you, buddy. Peter forced to flash away. As now Keen gonna be denied the ult out. It looks like he is done for as well. He's just gonna go for the wave here. Meanwhile, looking for the follow-up dive, but not really gonna amount to much except some plates.
This really is a Week 9 summer LCK game, except it's Week 15 in our new format, and it's the same thing, where the stakes are low, like very low. They could not be lower, actually. And we're having some fun, we're having some shenanigans. You know, it was mentioned that Gen.G are limit testing, Pike pick, blah, blah, blah. Like, Peter plays his first professional Bard game as well. I think KT here are also like, hey man, this is a on-stage scrim against the best team in the world. Let's see what we can get out of this as well. Trying to showcase the Yunara, otherwise known as U-casing.
U-case the Shonara.
There you go. Exactly. Rolls off the tongue. And this game relatively even now. If that last fight went differently, if they're able to kill Keen, get out of there, you know, Chovy just escapes likely, maybe KT feel a lot better about their game state. Still though, it's a 3-kill Ahri, and it's a Yunara composition where the enemy has difficult to execute engage. As speaking of engage,
the cleanse out of Duro comes in the clutch. So we'll take another look at how Keen died.
Yeah, he gets behind, and the flash from Perfect to deny the ultimate pretty clean. Stops Keen in his tracks. He might have actually been able to get out there had that not been blocked. Clean play.
Yeah, definitely would have. Then we watched Keen just kill the minions a bunch. Nicely done by Zombie Scion. Good work.
Good work. Clean work.
Yeah. But it's a big shutdown because he had 4 kills.
Yeah, now he has only a 650 gold lead as DuckDom.
Ooh, DuckDom not exactly winning that trade, although the burst was coming through. Peter now taking a bunch of damage. A lot more action in this game, number 2.
Yeah. DuckDom did not ult in that exchange, just pressing Q to trade. So that is significant, because the Dragon is spawning here in 50 seconds. And with his reset, Gen.G do get prio. Chovy still has Weaver's Wall for zoning, you know, all of the typical Taliyah angles here for controlling early Drake. So double Dragon here with a impactful soul, which pretty good chances for that in this game with Ocean as second. Be pretty big.
Yeah.
BDD, the first collapsed target, they're going to actually look for him, but instead they come up with nothing. And this gives an opportunity here for KT to group. Perfect has TP advantage as well. Gen.G need to be careful.
Yeah, Peter wants it, but the quickness just going to say no. Definitely a very cautious maneuver, you could say, out of Gen.G after pushing a little bit too far.
I think that was a very wisely cautioned out maneuver. Perfect got pinged the second he went for the proxy. I think Gen.G were like, stop him, it'd create a lot of, it'd cost a lot of resources.
Okay.
Yeah, going in?
Really trying to set this one up. Nearly dies, and, well, okay. Yeah, he's just dead. Hard to explain that one.
Limit testing,
team was nearby, but like, yeah.
Not that nearby, though.
So he had that, you know, he had that interview with us, and then all of a sudden, picks Bard, and some limit testing, unfortunately, for the guy.
You know, nearby enough for the MySpace ads to be like, there's a Ahri Yunara in your area.
Oh, no. All right, follow up here, Cuz in a bunch of trouble. Redemption comes down, and the Yunara is beginning to go crazy, but still able to push her away before she does any real damage. Meanwhile, we got ults down on the bottom side. Chovy makes his way in as DuckDom makes his way over the wall. Gonna pull back the Scion now, but Keen incredibly tanky here in the front line. DuckDom not able to do enough, but finally they get the follow-up knock-up, and he will be able to do enough, and that is a shutdown as well, as they'll take down Keen.
The Kraken has been slain. He did a lot of damage in that fight, DuckDom did. They just kind of locked Keen down and DuckDom punched him. Looks like Gen.G are going to double Dragon just the same, as Cuz is just nowhere nearby.
Hextech again.
Wow, double Dragon into Hextech. Second time here. As the initial play here is really risky, and there just isn't a whole lot of follow-up. It's not the first time. In fact, it's the second in the last minute where this happened. But Perfect shows up, and at first, Ducktom was like, you better keep that Scion the hell away from me, Perfect. You see me dash over the wall, I don't want to have anything to do with him. But then he's like, wait a minute, I'm Yunara, I'm going to kill that tank. We're going to front to back. Good charm, BDD. Follow up from Peter. Down goes the Scion. However, health bars are low. They give the Dragon. Double Dragon to Gen.G, and now they have Prio on this Rift Herald, as Perfect is going to look for a turret here, which will not be feats of strength because Gen.G already got that.
Yeah. Decently big wave will be denied, but Rift Herald taken by Gen.G in response. They can use that for the mid lane probably. So it still feels like Gen.G enjoy this position, although with that turret take by Perfect, they are going to take the gold lead slightly.
The thing about these comps is, I think the Taliyah, this is my take about like how they scale. I think the Taliyah ages better than the Ahri in a lot of late game fights, especially when you have a 2 Drake lead and you can kind of play around the fact that because you have that, you don't have to opt into bad Drake fights if KT end up getting Prio away from you. In the mid lane, for example, where Yunara presses Q to destroy the wave, like that's going to happen a few times. Also, though, Yunara scales better than Corki in this draft, and the Cassante arguably has more agency here. And the fact that if Corki wants to follow up on any sort of engage, which again is somewhat conditional here for Gen.G, could find himself being caught by a Jarvan. I do kind of like how KT's comp plays out later on in the game. We can have a lot of fights similar to what happened in the mid lane just there, where Keen tries to make something happen and then just gets ripped to shreds, and Chovy and Rue are like, we're the carries, but we don't really want to go in there. That's too dangerous. As they're just going to drop the Herald. This is one way to get a lot of Prio back for a charge here on the mid turret. And he should be fine. But we don't necessarily get to that late game on even footing, right? And that's where Gen.G have this double Dragon advantage to sit on. But if they sit on it too comfortably, Ducktom becomes too big to fail.
Yeah, I think for Gen.G, it's very obvious, like everybody knows here in the LCK, especially, that Yunara's not okay. She's not in an okay spot. She's not supposed to be left open, but they left her open and chosen. So on Gen.G's mind, there is going to be one main thing, which is kill the Yunara. And the question for me is, if they're successful at that, you know, and the game is in a relatively even state, do they win from there? And I would say almost 100% of the time, but there are some, you know, reset potential with the Cassante and the Ahri and stuff if it is very close. So there are other threats, but nothing like the Yunara.
Yeah, I just think that the Ahri isn't going to be able to do the same amount of damage that's needed as a lot of other mid laners would if the Yunara goes down. Even with the reset potential, this is not the Showmaker full Magi's Ahri.
Flash on in, committing now, all out. Does come down from Perfect, but the TP flank from the Taliyah. The knockup does come in, but eventually you are just dead.
Yeah, this is a
baited in, I suppose, by Keen.
Yeah, there's a bit of a misjudge there. The rest of his team has Prio in mid, but still, that's a long way away. Chovy does commit his TP, but it's not all for nothing, because Canyon just shadows him here and he gets the turret. Yeah. So it's a big win. They get the kill, they get the turret. A lot of injection of money here.
They think Chovy's alone. He is not quite alone, as the ult is actually going to get the knockup and deny Chovy from taking all that much damage, as now the follow-up goes into BDD, going to force that Spirit Rush. And meanwhile, Gen.G are pushing them away on the top side here too. Ducktom trying to go in, but the quickness comes out. Keen making his way up, as now very nice knockup does come out from Peter. They're trying to take out this Yunara, or at least the front line that will block for her. And the big one gonna take down the Alistair, as Perfect uses his TP just to potentially die in this one. Has to get out as he is Cassante, but the fully charged Q comes through, and he does TP to his death, unfortunately, as Gen.G beginning to run the Rift already.
There's just not enough. There's not enough without Perfect there to win that fight, which is why opting into it from Ruler and Duro made 100% sense. Duro takes most of his health bar and damage, but gets away. They had Keen there. And for Perfect, you're in the fountain, spamming D, clicking as fast as you can, because you're like, I know if I'm there, this fight looks so different. But by the time he does channel that teleport, his team probably should have been telling him to not do it, because like they forced 2 TPs, right? The bottom side play, they got the TP out, and then on the top side play, or in the mid play, they get it as well. But it's worth it for Gen.G, both of these TPs that are forced. And for the side of Perfect, you know, dying and then showing back up, it's not. So on the first TP, second one in the mid lane. And like, if you look at how this fight goes, Duro and Ruler are like, wait a minute, like we have advantage. And because Perfect can't be here and King can, it's just not a fight you can win. Ductum flashes away. He has to put all of his damage into a Scion. And even when BDD shows up, it's like, nah. And Perfect's here, too late.
Yeah. Makes his way in just to die. I like the respect that Ruler showed to the Yunara, to Ductum in that fight, because even though they knew they were in a winning spot, he did not step up to her at all. As the knockup will come through. But, yeah, mainly just going to be Perfect dashing away on the Cassante.
All the wind is out of KT's sails now. And this is a Gen.G sitting on Hextech Soul Point again. As this is a really big posturing over Otacon Vision on top side here by KT. Understand the thought process behind it. They still have that top turret, so I don't know if fighting into this choke point into Gen.G is the best option. Red buff's picked up for Ductum. He's coming back over. See if Gen.G overextend into this Yunara. I don't think so. I'm going to say no.
Yeah. Again, like I said before, she is like really the only threat as Chovy takes a bunch of damage, but does a bunch himself. Duro with the follow-up, and now Cuz just trying to peel, as is Perfect, but look at Ductum, he's not able to do any damage in this fight at all, as finally they do move over, and they finally remove the Yunara from the game without having to ban her. Just that easy.
That was wild what he was able to do there in the last few seconds. Yunara, if he should have committed the barrier there, but was hoping to at least get one trade kill to maybe deny this Otacon on the top side. Maybe BDD goes over and tries to slow them down, but a futile attempt. This Gen.G way better setup, and they were so confident of what their win con is, and Ductum goes and grabs red buff. He isn't here for so long, but it's not the fight on the over the killing the Yunara, setting up for that engage that's the problem. It's just that Keen gets into this fantastic spot. Chovy can go golden here, and this is insane zoning of the Yunara because Ductum knows the Rakan can follow up, and Gen.G just have full control over the fight, so Ductum has to sit it out until he's 1v5ing. And as well as he almost took Ruler out in that scenario, he doesn't.
Uh-oh. Well, that's going to be the end of Peter there as fifth death in this one. It looks like he was just trying to clear out Vision, but he walked over a ward, so not exactly sure how he ended up in that position in the first place.
I think we got
the unfortunate story of Peter today.
It kind of feels like we got, in game one, KT having a really rough early game, but kind of a glow up towards the end that made it interesting. Whereas in this second game, we had KT with a great start.
Yeah.
Until they had the, what's the opposite of glow up?
Glow down.
Dim down. And
the glow was turned down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were dim.
Just turned off the lights,
Because Gen.G just outplayed them in a few of these mid-game fights, and then suddenly it's like, well, I guess it is the 2-0 we all expected. Aw, I was hoping that KT would show some more signs of life, and they had some great moments, for sure.
It's just a little bit of the Gen.G effect, Like, it was so even until we had, like, one team fight where they were just in a slightly better position, and they played it out much better, and then all of a sudden the game is broken open. Like Gen.G, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. We've said this about a lot of teams over the course of, LCK history, but Gen.G is definitely one of them. It's like you lost a couple of fights and all of a sudden it's 6,000 gold. It's just kind of over. It is the Legend Group experience as well. We talked about this a lot. Rise is crazy, we have crazy comebacks and stuff, but you give one of these good teams and like even a tiny little in, they will take the game away from you.
Yeah, it's like for them, League of Legends is solved. Like you give me this, I know exactly everything I need to do to win this game now. I just have too much of an edge. And right now, what to do is to clear Vision and hold Banana Brush and choke point control here and say, if that Yunara is going to hit, she's going to have to get in range of our engage. Thuro has Flash ult. Chovy has Weaver's Wall to zone. Look at his positioning here already. Can do damage to this Baron over the wall at safety, as well as just deny KT entry. Same with Keen.
Keen's positioning there was so cool, actually. This wall is not going to deny Cuz, but a Q is, and, well, they have a bunch of CC to follow that one up, and now the turn comes in after the Baron is taken, and down will go Peter once again. The disengage cone comes through, but looks like maybe Perfect will still be punished. Or perhaps not, because he is Cassante. Flash forward from Canyon, though. They want a bit more, and they will get Cuz, at least. for the sins of the Blast Cone.
This Cataclysm buys some space here as they look to punish Game.
All right, Charm comes through, and, well, they are not going to... Oh, they do get him at the very last moment, as Yunara is just insane, but Ruler is insaner.
That was really scary for a second there. If Ruler goes down and Duckdom lives, maybe there's an angle. But 2 times in a row, Duckdom is close, this time much closer than the last. They're not able to end off of this push, even 27 minutes in, but they will just go and take a Hextech Dragon, which in this case can pretty much double as a budget Nexus. It's practically the win. As well here from Chovy, like you said, doesn't get Cuz denied entry to the pit, but they just CC Peter and Cuz down. Cuz has to retreat, which means he can't really peel, so Duckdom, who desperately wants to be doing damage here, just can do very little. He helps slow. And then Cuz sacrifices himself here, essentially, knowing he's dead, to try to Cataclysm to buy some space, and then watch Duckdom. Duckdom's like, I think maybe with this champion I could get it done. Maybe, possibly, with BDD's help going in. But Ruler just does too much damage, bursts him down the last possible second, has to flash some barrier to do it as they both trade, so 4 summoners in that exchange. But Ruler, with the lead he has, just barely gets the better of him. And that means that's a dead inhib in the mid lane. Bit of a TP in here for one of the last few opportunities KT have. The Dragon was not taken yet.
Yeah, I guess they're just going to look for the fight instead. Perfect. Dashing on over. Gen.G certainly want to force this one. Canyon goes in. And, well, we get a nice little ult into the wall. A little celebration from Keen, perhaps.
Duckdom in a good position here.
Follow-up from Peter, looking pretty good, though. As now the Q does come in. Duro just going to try to frontline, but Duckdom still not accounted for. Perfect, gonna carry Ruler over. Just, well, he's just gonna go down.
He just wants to take his health bar away so Duckdom can kill him, but now it's even health, and I just don't think he can get it done. TP here by both soul laners to end.
Yeah, and I think they're just gonna do it. The Ahri's just too low. And he knows where the Yunara is. The Q comes down. Duckdom will be denied. And it looks like he'll just leave the job to Chovy as Keen just denies any back from the Ahri.
Yeah, Peter's here, but he can't do damage.
Oh, this is beautiful stuff as very much a lot of gold, but I love the way that they're ending this game, denying all the backs and denying any chance, any hope to the side of KT Rolster of denying this 2-0. As Cuz is here, but they're just letting the minions do it. They don't even want to hit the Nexus themselves. Down it will go. And in 30 minutes, Gen.G win game number 2.
Well, it was a pretty interesting series. Still a dominant 2-0 from Gen.G.